Well, we're back with another weekly mental battlefield. You know the drill. It's what we're all about here. You know, it's kind of a big deal sometimes. So, wait till we got a few other people. Uh-oh, that's okay. Figure we go with the high biz today. You know, make sure everybody can see me. Um, Today's episode is a grateful shout out to a good old friend of mine, Robert Redford. No, not the actor, just an old friend of mine that I've known for a long time. He knew me in my days of chaos, and for some reason decided to keep me at least in contact on Facebook. But he stepped up when my equipment started taking a shit, and stepped up and actually physically sent me another piece of equipment that is far better than what I was using. So, shout out to Mr. Man. This thing needs to stay alive, and it would have taken me a lot longer to get my hands on something like this. So, you're an amazing person for stepping in and making that happen, big guy. I appreciate it more than you will ever know. It's stuff like that when I kind of get validation of my choices and being on the right path, you know? When somebody that I may or may not have done right or wrong by in the past, use your imagination, is willing to step up and help me continue my dreams. I'm pretty blessed for that one, to be honest with you. So, it's one of the many things that I talk about on here is it. There's like there's pretty obvious signs when I make the right strides. You know, things tend to go a certain direction for me, and as long as you're paying attention, I feel like they might for everybody. But you start paying attention and you see things going, you know, better than maybe what you thought or what you expected, and it's pretty good validation that, you know, you're doing what you need to be doing, at least, and you're doing good. So, anyway, just a little tidbit. Thank you again, Robert. You're the shit. Today's topic I want to delve into a little bit about just fear, and that it's super vague, right? Because you can use that in a million and a half directions. I'm not fucking talking about like snakes and spiders and heights and shit like that. Although those all three suck, I won't deny that. But what I'm really talking about is the fear within yourself, and also pretty vague because in the things that I want to talk about are there's like 4 or 5 different directions of fear within yourself. You know, at least the things that I want to talk about. I can only speculate because I can only feel for myself. You know, the reason that I put today's description as a mental challenge is because the fear that I'm talking about within yourself is like, this isn't something that a lot of people are going to want to admit. They're not even going to not even admit it to themselves. Nobody wants to admit the deep fear that may be paralyzing you from becoming who you need to be. Nobody wants to admit that they're scared of stupid shit, you know. So that's where the challenge comes in, because I can't point it out unless you point it out, or you know what I mean? Like, you can't solve the problem unless you're willing to point it out within yourself. Doesn't mean that that's the end of the road, for sure. Just admitting the fact that you have one just means now you have to work on getting through it, or getting through the fact that you have it, or those things that are stopping you from doing what you want to do or doing what you need to be doing, or whatever the case may be. That's going to be a whole nother ball game. And as far as I can tell, it's one that you're going to face. It's a set of things that you're going to face probably for the rest of our life, because I mean, isn't that what progress is about? Is overcoming the things within yourself, right? Being able to move forward and move up. That's where progress is, right? So I can't imagine that that's ever going to be a time where that doesn't come with a little bit of fear of maybe the next big leap, or the fear of rejection, the fear of, I mean, you can, a million different ways you can place that, and it's going to be different case by case. Like the fear of rejection is a really big one. Not only just purely rejection, but especially like as an adult, if you get so encompassed in that fear that like now you start worrying about, well, if I fail this, then life is over, that kind of shit, because you start thinking about your finances, you start thinking about the shit, which it's all just shit that we have. You start thinking about all the sacrifices that you might have to make. You start thinking about all this stuff, and it's so much easier to just be like, but I'm here now, and it's comfortable, and I did this, and I don't want to lose it, right? Which, like, yeah, it makes sense. I get it. But if there's another thing that I've learned in my life, it's that this is really not going to be any progress in your life without a lot of sacrifice. Maybe even more sacrifice than progress. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is one of the bigger things that I face within myself, and I'm trying so hard to just immerse myself in everything that I want to accomplish and everything that I want to do. I'm trying to shift my entire universe onto the things that I want to accomplish, and this is just the beginning. This is purely just the beginning. So I get it. I make my way over my own personal speed bumps, but I still have a lot of fucking fears. There's a lot of things that stop me from doing the things I need to do. So I'm by no means better than anybody in any of these circumstances. This being one of them. Like, this sucks, sitting here talking about myself, but it's something that I want to do because I want to. This is partially like me calling myself out, but it's partially like reaching out to the people who love listening to on a personal level. And I love that. I love the thought of that. However, it helps, and hopefully it helps anybody. But these fears and these debilitating structures that we build around our own brains, they fucking really suck, and they really can be the end of what you're trying to accomplish, which is I'm trying to remind my brain every day that is a scarier thought than any one of these fears. The fact that every day the days can just keep rolling by. They're not going to stop, right? Sun's gonna come up tomorrow. That's a fact. It's just not going to change. And that means time goes by. And as time goes by, you're going to get older. There's going to be a point in time where you're going to blink and you're still going to be stuck in the same bullshit you were when you were super unhappy. Unless you make the sacrifice. Whatever that means to you. Scary? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Shifting life and milking it for what it's worth is a really hard thing to do because, as far as I can tell, most of the time you have to step back down towards ground zero. You know, you have to recenter. You have to step away from some things that you've grown to know. You have to step outside your comfort zone. We all know that, and nobody likes doing that for sure. You have to step outside of your most comfortable zone to figure out what it's worth. What's it worth to you to do something or be something that you want or need to be, or to do something important with your life, or what's it worth to you? Um, I've grown to become quite scared of the fact that if I don't make the changes now, especially in my line of work, I mean, not to put that above anybody else's, but if I don't change now, if I don't make the changes now, I'm gonna wake up one day, I'm gonna be like 65, still working the same fucking job, and be like, what do you do? You blew it. Now the whole "it's never too late" thing goes without saying because I agree, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's just you're gonna get to a point where, well, you might have missed the boat on that one, big guy, and I don't want to do that. I want to change. I want to change everything that was written for me right now. That's what I want. I want to, and I want to do that for my kids, for my if I have more kids, I want to do that for my future wife, and I want to do that for I want to make this the best that it can be, and rewrite history, so that way the up and coming generations, God willing, there is more, don't have to run through the same fucking history book that I have, and. Also, as far as I can tell, that is one of the biggest challenges that people will run into in their life is rewriting their own history, rewriting their family's own history, and everything that's written for them. It's not always bad. It's not. But I would say in like my case, for example, there's a lot of things that I would change. I wouldn't say change, but there's definitely a lot of things that I want to modify. There's room for improvement. Let's say that. There's room for improvement. I like it. So, but again, we go back to what I wanted to talk about, which is fear. Hi, Sam. Good to see you on. We talk about being so scared of ourselves and so scared of the things that you can't seem to change in a moment, which is terrifying. And everybody has their own different cases, but you have to be willing to stick your toes in a new set of rules for yourself, and you have to be willing to explore them. I luckily, I mean, if there's one thing I will say, even with the book that was written for me, I was somehow capable enough of like realizing that wasn't who I was supposed to be. Think whatever it is that I'm thinking, because looking back and finally after being able to grow up and move forward a little bit from who the person that I was, realizing like, the mental clarity of the person that I used to be, and the ability to change that is like. But that's one of those things you have to be willing to call yourself out. You can't be scared of it either, and you can't be scared of a little sacrifice to make that person better. Without that sacrifice, you're not moving forward. But you have to be willing to face that person. It's terrifying and it's hard. Everybody has their own story and has their own past and things like that. There's going to be things that you have to face. There's going to be things that you have to admit to yourself. And this is where the foundation of the fear is just going to sit there and say, you don't have to do that. That's what the fear is. You don't have to do this. You can just be comfortable. You can just sit and ignore it, right? You don't have to look at yourself. It's okay. We're comfortable. We're comfortable. We made it. It doesn't matter. I choose not to. I don't want to. I personally don't know how people can not acknowledge, what's happened and learn from it. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me why somebody wouldn't want to, but some people are, everybody's different. And that's the beautiful thing. So, but with progress, no, and Sam, you're 120% right when you say shit doesn't happen overnight, because even being like, I'm a super late bloomer, and I don't know why. That's just how I've always been my entire life. We're not going to get into my past or anything like that, but it's been a really long road for me personally. So, and it's taken like the last 7 years of my life for me to even begin to train myself to not lie to myself, which is crazy to say, but I found a piece of me, coming into my 30s, and I had to train myself to stop lying to myself, which is bizarre, but I'm 37, and I feel like I finally got over one hurdle, which is great. It was probably a really big hurdle, because it also leads to, if I'm being true to myself, or as much as I can be while I'm learning about myself, then that means I'm not lying to the people I love, which was probably more important when I realized what that was worth, and when I realized what that was doing to them, because those things have been harder to fix. I can only convince myself that it's not too late. I can't convince everybody else that I'm trying to be better without knowing how to convey that correctly, which was really fucking hard for me, and it still kind of is. I don't know if that's something I'm ever going to be able to get over, because that is one of my fears, is I have to face a lot of people that I hurt. Again, everybody's going to have their own story, and everybody's going to have their own chapters and whatnot. That's just one of mine, little tidbit. But would you rather just wallow in it, or would you rather try? And that's where you get to make the choice. That's where you get to make the sacrifice. And you tell yourself, okay, well, it's time to start learning. And this is another point of fear. Educating yourself or searching for education is hard. It's not hard literally, because we have fucking supercomputers in our hands all the time, which is dope. But finding the want and the will to do it all the time is like super hard. And now there's going to be 4 different types of fear that are going to freak you out. You're going to deal with the fear of not understanding, the fear of feeling or looking stupid. These things, the fear of looking stupid in front of other people. These are pills that you have to swallow to make progress. After, like, example, for doing this for almost 4 years now, which is crazy, by the way. It's gone through fucking like 10 different iterations and like 10 different chapters in and of its own. And part of that is because I haven't stopped educating myself, because I don't have a choice. Like, I'm a tow truck driver now. I've been a mechanic my entire life. This was not my realm, right? But I wanted it to be. So with the fear of looking stupid in front of the entire world, I sucked it up. I put on the fucking headphones. I listened to my own voice, which I know for a fact that nobody likes hearing their own voice. Why? Because you all tell me the first time you do a podcast, oh, I hate hearing my own voice. Guess what we have to do? Suck it up. So at the fear of looking like a fucking fool, put it together and just start doing it, being beyond blessed with a million different people that have only supported me. It's been a really incredible journey, and that is part of the conviction that I stand here with, because, like I said in the beginning, when you have certain things happen while you're trying to make progress and while you're trying to overcome these fears, if you pay attention, there was, and that's one of my favorite things. Sam, is she says this was my path. It was carved before I knew it, right? And that's honestly one of the truest statements that I stick to this day, because I truly believe that this is a beginning of something much, much bigger that I want to accomplish. I would scramble my thoughts if I tried to explain to you every fucking thing that I wanted to do in light of this, but that's 100% true. And that's what I'm really getting at, is when you start walking down your path, things are going to become easier in some senses. Things are going to come together in ways that are going to surprise you, and it's going to be lit up for you to know that, okay, that was the correct step, I know what it's like to try to force things to happen the way that you want them to. And yeah, sometimes you can. Sometimes you can make shit come together the way that you want them to. But I've learned that typically if you have to really fucking force something to go right in life, not all the time, but I can't say that it's the right thing, but in my life, when things are pointed in the right direction, it's pretty fucking clear, and I'm really grateful for that. I just started paying attention to the signs. The things that have worked out in this particular circumstance, I mean, that's pretty solid conviction, if you ask me, because again, this was not my realm at all. But this whole process, I've had the most amazing people. I've had people, again, give me equipment. I've had people buy me equipment. I've had people fund a studio build. I've had people help build the studio, which, by the way, was completely, outside of my realm as well. I've had every fucking bit of support that a man could ask for. And for what? Right? For what? It all seems so ridiculous in my head, because all I said was I wanted to start a mental health podcast. And everybody supported me. And I've been nothing but blessed. And why, even though I'm still scared to this day of putting this crap online, I don't like it. But everybody else has proven to me that it's right. Well, so that helped me overcome one of the biggest fears in my life. Robert asked, what made you want to start a podcast? I don't think you were here in the beginning, Robert, but I gave you a fucking shout out. Excuse my French. I got to stop doing that on here. I gave you a big shout out. Thank you again for the interface, man. It's amazing to work with. It's nice. So I'm getting a little sidetracked, trying to read the comments. What made me want to start the podcast? I honestly don't have an answer for that. I don't. It was something, I know it sounds cliche, but it was something that kind of hit me in the face one day. Well, you know what? It was, I think one day when I was trying to find my way a little bit, I decided that I was going to stop asking myself questions and asking myself why, and I decided that I was going to start asking the world. I was going to start figuring out why. And that's probably the most basic way to put it. This thing has manifested into its own design, the way it's supposed to be. So I kind of just let it take the wheel. It's doing its own thing. It's got its own ideas. It's got its own personality, and I'm fucking completely on board for the ride. I love it. I'm so grateful to be the host of something like this, because it's been nothing but amazing, and there's some really big stuff coming for it. As always, it hasn't stopped. It's great. You guys are all great. I love it. Everybody supports and loves it and loves me, and I don't know why. See, this is there. We're gonna start talking about another one of my fears. I don't know why people love it. I don't know why. Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't know why people love me. No, I'm just kidding. But I developed a really firm belief in the power of healing and the power of love, and that shit stands so much stronger than replaceable fears in my mind, you know. I mean, now that we're really talking about it, I probably wouldn't have the I wouldn't probably have the confidence in continuing as strongly as I do if it wasn't for the fact that I've got nothing but overwhelming love and support, which again is conviction that me facing my fears was something that I needed to do, something that was needed to do. So it's funny because every time we have these kind of conversations, it all kind of comes full circle, doesn't it? It's funny how that shit works. Emergence, huh? Oh, yeah. It's your Jose. Is it the eyelashes too? No, I'm you know, I was scared of a lot of different things within myself, and I buried a lot of shit within myself growing up, because as a child and like into my preteens, I was very like, it's hard to believe, but I was very childlike, and I was very innocent. And we'll use the word naive for a long time, but I see it in my son, and what it reminds me of is the purities of children, before the evil gets to them in the world, you know, and before you have to start adapting to survive and stuff like that. And these are crucial moments growing up, and you have a lot of forks in the roads and stuff like that, and that's where you start finding your identity. Everybody has different timelines. Everybody has different paths. This is where the stories get intricate and amazing, and this is part of the reason why I love hearing everybody's stories when they come here, because everybody has an astounding way of getting to where they are now, which is healing and loving, and, you know, eyes open and wanting to do the best for everybody that they can, and it's an amazing process. And you can quote that one too. I get a little autograph for you. So it was kind of hard to overcome a lot of the fears that I built for myself, which, again, only speculation. I can only imagine most people do. And again, this is going all the way back to the ground zero of where we started this particular episode. But that is exactly why I put this is the challenge, because I can only have this conversation as much as we can have the conversation, right? You are going to be the only one that's going to be able to admit to yourself where those fears lie within yourself. You can lie to yourself. You can, but it's not going to take you anywhere good. It's just not. And that was, you know, the whole basis of today's conversation was at ground zero, at the start of the disease, is once you stop lying to yourself and telling yourself that you're not scared, or that's not the reason you don't make progress, or that's not the reason that you haven't done what you wanted to do. Until then, nothing's going to change. And I'm, you know, one of millions and millions of living proof of that. And that is part of the message that I want to make this spread. This is part of the voice that I want this podcast to have, is, you know, hope and acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is so important, not just for you, but for the ones that you love too. Like I said, because when you start making these changes within yourself, is when you start, or is when you stop lying to everybody else. And I found that to be truly amazing. I'm not saying the whole process is going to be easy, because I tell you, one of the other things that I had to deal with was coming face to face with how many people I hurt. Right? So I just decided at some point that I was going to stop running away from my storms and just run face first into those bastards. And selfishly, in the beginning, it was for me. But as things progress and as things get older, I find myself wanting to do right for other reasons, which is a miracle within itself. But these fears are kind of what drive me, and I want for that mentality to be normalized, because I think they should. I think that you should, instead of ignoring your fears, instead of ignoring what's stopping you, I think you should embrace them and be able to harness that thought to retrain yourself, if that makes sense. You retrain your mentality, and you retrain your thoughts and your habits, and you can have that conversation with yourself. Now I sound like a psychopath. That's perfect. But you can stop yourself from those fears, rearing their ugly face before you have a chance to grip it. And that sounds, I'm not anywhere near there, but that sounds amazing. I have people in my life that have done it. I've seen so many success stories. I've heard so many people come from the darkest of places to be some of the most successful and amazing people I've ever met in my life, that just want nothing but to help and to heal, and promotion of all that. But again, it's because why? Because they faced it all. So, little tidbit for the day. I was just thinking about how hard it is to rewire, how to rewire the things that made you who you were, so to speak. Not to say that's the bad thing. I can only speak for myself, which is that's all I got. But I find it so intriguing, all of it. And I'm grateful that I've become so self-aware enough to the point where, I can share these things. It's super funny to see how many people agree with everything. It's not funny. That's not the right word. It's impressive. How about that? Yeah, it's super impressive, because when I start, we have these conversations, and there's so many people that come and join us, and I love it. It makes me fall in love with the idea of all of this so much more, and it makes me love everybody so much more to know that you guys are stirring it up upstairs. You guys are thinking about it, and everybody wants to be happier and healthy, and I love it, dude, because this isn't shit that people talk about on a day-to-day. It's not. And I didn't realize that until I started doing it, which is crazy. So to go back through some of the comments, Robert said, it's the concept of emergence. Something unexpected that arises from an organization, which that's a topic. That's a topic right there, because I started cleaning up and sweeping up some of the messes that I made, and simplifying, which I still do to this day. Simplifying everything, work, finances. When I this is going to sound strange, but when I downsized back into an apartment, and I threw away so much stuff, somebody told me, because I said it just felt weird, like it was okay in my head that I threw away so much shit, and they said, well, you're cleaning up your mind. It's 100% true, That's exactly what I was doing, and I craved it. I craved it bad. But there's that organization. I've simplified everything, and I've organized, and I've refocused and regrouped in my head. It's incredible. It is thoroughly incredible. Sam, this is something it's helped me with my impulsive words to remind myself not to get like frustrated or angry so often. When you remind yourself that everybody has a different story, right? You don't know what everybody's dealing with on any given day. And I think at the root of that statement is that probably most of the time people don't have ill will against each other, right? It's just a fact. And when you stop thinking like everybody's out to hurt you because they're frustrated, is when you can take a step back and say, shit, they might be having a rough day. I don't know what's going on, but they didn't mean that to me. You're 100% right. Yeah, that one took a while because it's so easy and it's so quick to get frustrated with people these days because of everything that's going on. But I don't want to, and I think that helped me so much. Is I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be impulsive. People aren't out to hurt me. It's not that. Like, they have 1.5 million reasons to be frustrated just as much as I do. So you're 100% right. Priscilla says it's self-realization, not psychopath, which is possibly. No, I'm totally kidding. It is, and I'm grateful for the ability to self-realize all the shit that I've been talking about. From what I have gathered, this isn't everybody's strongest suit, which I can't conceptualize because I don't understand it, because I have that voice that now is telling me and trying to keep me focused on keeping my own shit in check, So I'm not really qualified to have that conversation, but I'm grateful that I can be self-aware, or that I can at least try. I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Dusty. He says we're doing good, and I appreciate that because I'm trying. We're all trying. Shit, we're all here. It's about damn time. You're right. You're right. And that's actually something I think about all the time, too, Being 37 now, I'm a little frustrated that it's taken me this long, to be honest with you. But, I'm still young. I'm grateful that it happened. But the changes have to happen now. I can't sit on being comfortable anymore, and I don't want to. It's time to set sail and do what I'm supposed to do from here on out. That road doesn't necessarily have an end to it, and I'm okay with that, as long as I don't stop doing what I'm trying to accomplish. And that's a long list of shit, folks. But I had to remind myself, probably like last year, even after overcoming so many big feared hurdles, in my life, and I got over a bunch of speed bumps, and there was I remember hitting this crazy point where I was like, damn, I did it. I don't know why. It was just like the first big speed bump that I had overcome in my mental health journey. And I thought, I was like, shit, I did it. And then in my head, I was like, okay, you did it, break time. Got some fears overcome. I kind of learned a bunch about myself. Let's do this. Let's go. And then more speed bumps started coming. More shit that needed to be handled. And I had to retrain myself. There was actually a point in time, this was while I was doing the podcast too, was when I had to retrain myself to okay, you did one set of speed bumps. Great, dude. You are far from done, right? It was weird in my mind. I don't know what happened, but I was like, okay, that's it. We did it. No. It was the first one of probably a lifetime's worth of stuff, which is fine. I just wasn't prepared. And that's where, the self-awareness thing comes into play. I had a fork right then and there in that point in time in my life, because other things weren't going the best as a collective, And I hit a point in time where I could have been, well, fuck it, I can't do this. This was the fork, right? I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm burnt out. Blah, blah, blah. I took a break. I kind of recentered, tried to get my head back in the game. Well, I mean, I didn't try. I fucking did it because I'm sitting here right now. And like I said, I faced those fears because that was a big fear for me. It was a big fear of failure or rejection, which is ridiculous because there's no failure in me sitting here putting out podcasts every day for the rest of my life. That's not. There's no alternative to that. Like those are all success stories. Every single one of them. Right? I can do this for the rest of my life, and the worst case is maybe one day they don't get monetized. There's no fail. The worst failure is that I have. Nope. See, there's not even a failure. I get to hear amazing stories as long as I'm doing this, and I get to learn more and more about everybody as long as I'm doing this. This has been one of the more rather annoying things that I've twisted my interior fears into is I don't acknowledge failure as a thing anymore. I don't. As far as failure goes, there's no alternative. If I'm going to do something, then it's just a matter of how it's going to get done. There's no backwards. It doesn't exist up here, and it gets annoying for everybody else to deal with. I can promise you that because nobody wants to hear that shit. You know, when somebody's trying to get something done and they're frustrated because they can't figure it out, I'm like, well, you just keep doing it. You know, you're going to keep doing it until it's done. I mean, I don't know what else. There's no alternative. My fear for that one never existed. And this is where a lot of people, you know, are going to not be able to share that thought because I've never had anybody else to lean on. If I don't do something, then it's all on me. I got no one to lean on. I'm not coming back on anybody but me. So guess what? Failure is not an option. Still, it was kind of easy for me to adopt. That's one of my personal easy hurdles. And I'm super grateful for it, even though it is kind of annoying. Thank you, Sam. Your support has always been pretty incredible throughout all this. So I can't say enough good things about who you are, who your character is, and you know the level of integrity that you bring to the table. I've been blessed with a lot of good reasons to face my fears. So, if there's anything that you can take away from the things that you're facing is maybe, I don't know, I mean, like I said, stick your toes in the water, you know? Feel it out. Get a feel for it. Start opening your eyes to some of the more powerful possibilities that are going to come from you exploring how to get over some of your shit. You can't overcome them without acknowledging them. And that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that this message was clear today. Was, you know, you have to try without thinking about the alternative because there isn't one. Just figure out how to get started and work your way through it. Everybody has to do it. And anybody who tells you that they don't is a fucking liar. At least I believe it. You can open your eyes a little bit wider when you start being able to call yourself out first and foremost. It's a beautiful thing, really. And I'm, like I said, I'll say it a million times over, but I'm grateful for the fact that I can. Now it's just healing the rest of the damage done, which is fine. But no, Priscilla says, you know, you don't seem like you're in this for the money. I am doing this. It was for me in the beginning. It still kind of is. I think the benefits that I get from it are just a bonus. Yeah. Fear is again, and that's where that fork is. The fear can be either the motivation or the disabling factor. I don't like the other side of that coin. I don't want it to be the disabling factor because I don't want to be stuck in the same fucking rut that I'm in. Well, I'm not in a rut right now, but it'll become a rut if I spend another 20 years doing it. That to me sounds like a lot of wasted time. Just my 2 cents. I'm not in it for the money. I will say, if there's one reason I would like this to make money, it's so I can do it full time and really, really go full throttle on everything else that I want to start doing with it. It's the only reason I want money. I don't want money to be famous. I don't want the money to be rich by any means. I want to be able to make enough to where I don't have to go to my other job, be gone 12 hours a day. Because if I had this to myself, week in and week out, and I could plan the events that I want to do, and I could plan the organizations that I want to accomplish, and there are there's a lot of things on my list of shit that I want to accomplish with this, but unfortunately, still being a part of the real world, I have obligations to attend to, just like everybody else. So when I talk about money, that's it. It's not to be rich, and that's not the purpose. It's just so I can do this all the time. Do more of it, I have a lot of wants. I have a really, really big list of wants for this whole thing. So, I'm just going to keep doing it. And I want to just keep doing it. I got some really exciting guests coming up. I got some, even now with the equipment the way it's going, so much worry has been lifted. Things look good. Things look always looking up. I think it's been shit. I think we're coming up on 4 years. I can't remember. I think it's got to be close to 4 years, which is pretty good, and yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm excited for it all, and I'm excited to keep doing these. I think we're going to call it. It's been a good conversation. You guys are amazing as always. Don't let fear fucking guide you. It's not worth it. It's petty in your own mind. Don't let that shit drive you. No, I'm just kidding. But, seriously, don't let it drive you. Oh, the comments. Yeah, no. Like I said, this has come a very long way from being in my spare room with the crappiest quality everything that you could imagine with no video, and it's so far from being the best that it can, which is crazy to think about, but it's going to be great. And then Robert being a part of the real world isn't a bad thing. It's frustrating for me. One of the biggest problems I've always had within myself is patience. So this is one of the biggest things that I'm trying to use as a tool to be patient, which I hate, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I imagine one day the fruits of that labor will come full circle, and let me take this higher. That's the goal. And I can't imagine that's a bad thing. So, you guys are incredible. Thank you for all the input, the driving forces, the love, the vulnerability. Yeah, I'm gonna acknowledge that. Thank you guys for always, outing yourselves a little bit and sharing a little bit of your intimacy with me. That is the hardest part about what we're doing here, and one of the biggest things that I want for everybody that's a part of this is to know that this is the perfect place to do it, and I want it all, Getting to know the intimate sides of people and getting to know the intimate sides of me are truly some of the most valuable things that I've ever done with my life, and I can't thank you guys enough. So I love you all so very much. I'm going to try and do a couple more lives than I have been. I'm going to try and do something to keep my numbers up. You know the drill. Start working on the social media crap a little bit harder. So now that we got the equipment to do it, I'm going to hit that gas pedal a little bit harder. But feel free to keep commenting on this video even after, or feel free to hit me up with any questions, comments, concerns. If you just want to chat, I don't care. Let me know. I love you guys. Good night.